Good afternoon. I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome, Wall Street X's and O's for the week ending Friday, September 10th. It's crazy. We're a third through September, although it is football season. First week of the NFL, second week of college football, actually third week if you count the 0 week. So if you are a football fan like I am, there is not a better time of the year. But anyway, let's get things rolling off here. First, we're going to kick off the disclaimer. Then I'm going to go through my top 5 things we are going to hit on today. And I'm going to send you off to the weekend. So anyway, the content presented here today is for informational purposes only. None of the information contained or constitutes an offer to buy or sell any investment or a solicitation to buy or sell any investment. It does not constitute an investment recommendation, legal, tax, or accounting advice. This information is presented without regard for the type of individual investor or your preferences or your risk parameters. Investors can and will lose money. They are not FDIC insured. And without further ado, let's kick this thing off. I've got a good show today. You know what? Every 2 weeks I try to do this. As you know, if you're a first timer here, which there aren't many of those, but if you happen to be, this show is uncut and unedited. I grip it and rip it like John Daly, and we have a lot of fun. And my goal is to really educate you and talk about the things that aren't being discussed, but that are impactful when it comes to investing and your assets. And that is really what I hope to accomplish every time out of the chute. And that's what today is no different. That's what I hope to accomplish again today. So for today, we're going to talk about the great unemployment benefit debate, which I've been kind of teasing you with the last couple of weeks, because now we kind of know what's happened, and it's incredible. It's going to blow your mind. We're going to talk about how Republicans and Democrats view science and how that has changed over the last 50 years. That's a sizzler. That is a sizzler, let me tell you. We're going to hit on inflation quickly here. We're going to talk about Pavlov. We're going to go into psychology. My daughter would be proud of me. Going, Dad, yeah, you're speaking my language. My daughter is a business and psychology double major. God bless her. She's going to know both sides. She's going to understand business, and she's going to know what makes the whack jobs do things they do. I like that. So anyway, as I go on, and then we got the last one, I'm going to talk about a book written by Jonah Berger. And this is cool. This is going to cap it all off. So anyway, let's crank it on here. Unemployment benefit, big debate. Here was the kicker, okay? You had 25 states, Republican states, that ceased additional pandemic unemployment assistance beginning of the summer, actually. You had the Democratic states, 25 plus the District of Columbia, so we'll call it 26 and a quarter, that decided to keep additional governmental unemployment benefits moving and paying people. In theory, okay, Republicans thought that if we decrease benefits or eliminate them, which basically the big one was $300 a week, so that's $1,200 a month people were not getting anymore, it would encourage people to go back to work. Democrats are, oh no, we're going to keep paying people because they need it and they want it, and that's just what we're going to do. Opposing sides, right? Obviously, you have red, you have blue, 2 different colors, and they're as different as they are day and night, as we all know. What happened? What is incredible is nothing, absolutely nothing. And see, this is the uncut part because my phone is ringing. I don't know that number, so if it happens to be you and you were calling in at 2:16 on Friday, I apologize, I'm busy. Anyway, non-farm payrolls that just came out, okay? You had the 25 states that ended benefits, payrolls rose by 1.33%. Okay, between April and July. In the 25 states that kept the enhanced unemployment benefits in place, non-farm payrolls rose by 1.37. In other words, there was no statistical difference. Now, the big question is, well, why? There are 2 camps. And who knows at the end of the day, these are one of those things that are going to be debated for a while. And, we'll hopefully find out someday. But it's one of two things. One, you still have a lot of people very concerned about COVID, and with obviously the Delta variant and the new variant now rising throughout the summer, it could have still kept people away. And I think we saw that in the service industry, because a lot of restaurants, service providers were struggling to hire people, in which those people in many ways are on the front lines, not from a support or like the healthcare people, but they're on the front lines as far as is interacting with people. So I think there could have been still a high level of fear, particularly, we got, I don't know how many, 70, 80 million people that are unvaccinated. So that could be a valid argument. The flip side of that was people just don't want to work yet, or they still have a significant amount that they have saved over this period due to all these enhanced benefits that they just didn't need to work yet. Which is it? I don't know. I think as time goes, we're going to see. What I'm really going to be cluing in here is, from a labor standpoint in the coming weeks, months, is what kind of uptick are we going to get in people going back to work? And is that going to be a meaningful measuring stick that we can base some factual commentaries on? Obviously, time will tell. Okay, we're going to see. Moving on here. This is a hot one. Okay. How have the views of science changed between parties, Democrats and Republicans? If you go back to 1975, okay, Republicans at that point in time said they had a great deal or quite a lot of confidence, and somebody is really calling. See, it's these stupid robocallers. Do you all get those? I get them on my cell phone. I get them at work a ton, and they call, and I know it's a BS call, because when they call on my second line, which is my rollover line that's not published, yeah, not hard to say. Anyway, I digress here. So anyway, if you go back to 1975, 72% of Republicans said they had a great deal or quite a lot of confidence in science. On the flip side of that, Democrats, this share was 5% lower. They are 5 percentage points lower at 67%. Fast forward 50 years later, brand new survey, the gap has reversed and then some. Democrats' confidence in science has climbed by 12 percentage points to 79%, while Republicans' confidence has dropped 27 percentage points to just 45. That's a hot one that I'm not going to touch today. But I want you to think about that. Why would that happen? Okay. If you're going to look, Neil Howe, famed demographer, wrote an article called Trend Spotting: Why Republicans No Longer Trust Science. If you can find it, go look it up. If not, I'll send it to you. Moving on here, looking at inflation. Brian Deese, I think that's how you pronounce his name. If I'm not pronouncing it correctly, Brian, forgive me. He basically came out here recently and said he's an economical and political advisor currently, said that if you pull out all the protein, beef, pork, and poultry, that the increases in inflation are rather normal. I'm taking a deep breath on that one. I'm going to respond to that with shipping costs, okay? Particularly shipping container costs have gone up. This means for a company to go out and rent a container to ship their supplies from point A to point B, the last 12 months, it has gone up 309%. Moving on. Pavlov, what an interesting dude. He was a Russian psychologist. He won a Nobel Prize on classic conditioning. Okay. Here's the kicker. Do you think we as people, because Pavlov, when he did a study, was on a dog, right? He rang the bell. What happened to the dog? He started salivating. I will tell you this, okay? With my dogs, I have 2 miniature wiener dogs. When they do a good job and I reward them with treats, if I make them sit there and I hold the treat long enough, you know what happens? Pavlov was right. They start slobbering. You know why? They know what's coming and they love their treats. That is called classic conditioning. All right. My dogs know if I say, hey, you need to sit, you've been a good dog, way to not go out and bark at the neighbors on along the fence and come running inside. You get a treat for listening, as my son says, listening ears to my dogs. You know what? They are classically conditioned to sit and receive their treat. We as people, let's go back to that science deal. You knew I was coming back at this, and you know I'm going to smack somebody in the nose here, probably multiple people in the nose. If you think about this from a political party standpoint, okay, when one party comes out, that being the Democrats now, and they say how much they trust science. I don't care whether if it's global warming. I don't care whether it's wearing masks. I don't care whether it's the vaccines. Let's just focus on those three. Those are three hot ones, by the way. And they push science hard, hard, hard. That is their narrative. On the flip side, what did President Trump do? He kind of banged science a little bit. He would bang it, and then they would comment, oh, I believe in science, but, right? Sadly, after any time you mention but, they never remember anything before. All of a sudden, you've got this anti-science narrative coming on the Republican side. So to me, it's pretty easy. Narratives get spun every day, okay? When you hear something enough, regardless of whether it is true or not, it becomes something you hear in a repetitive fashion, which means all of a sudden that takes some precedence over everything to where all of a sudden it can be assigned to truth. We also know for a fact that falsities travel 7 to 10 times faster than truth does, okay? So back to Pavlov. He was on something. My question to you, and this goes for anything you hear, if you hear something from somebody and it triggers you to respond automatically, I'm going to caution you to take a deep breath, take a step back, and reevaluate. That's the problem we have today. People listen to narratives. The media, our political parties on both sides do an unbelievable job at spinning their narratives because that's what they want you to believe. The question is it the truth? Is it the whole truth? Is it nothing but the truth? So help me God. I don't know, and that's for you to decide, not me. Last thing here, we're going to shut it down here today. The word of mouth in the digital age is real powerful, okay? And Jonah Berger wrote a book called Contagious, How to Build Word of Mouth in a Digital Age. Fascinating, right? And he says there are 6 keys that identify a contagious idea. So this could be something you see on Twitter, could be something you see on Facebook, could be something that you hear on the news, it could be something that your friend tells you, it could be something that your family member tells you, okay? All these things, and you can add more to that. There are 6 things he outlines. Social currency, how does it make people look and talk about the idea? So if what you hear, see, think, say does that, that's one check. Triggers, are people reminded to talk about the idea? Ooh, that's a good one. 3, emotion. Does the idea or concept strike an emotional chord? Hell yeah, it does. Watch the news every night. Do you end the news happy or sad? That strikes an emotional chord. Unbelievable. When you hear the president or past president talk, did that strike an emotional chord? Heck yeah, it did. See, emotion, that's the big one. To me, I would have moved emotion number 1. I don't think these are rank and file, but I would have put emotion at the top. I think we're emotional wrecks personally. The public, can people see when others are using the idea? Twitter, Facebook, the internet, blah, 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 right? Practical value, is the idea useful to people? Ooh, that's a good one. That's a debatable one. The term useful, okay? And the last one, stories. Finally, and likely this is the most important, he feels, what broader narrative can we wrap around the idea? Wow. If that's not a punch in the face, I don't know what is. So, social currency, triggers, emotions, public, practical value, and stories. So in conclusion, forget fundamentals, forget the truth, forget the facts, okay? If whatever you're hearing, seeing, listening to, or reading will do one of those 6 things, you can throw fact and truth out the door. For Friday, September 10th, this is Craig Modelmoff for Wall Street X's and O's. Thanks for joining me. I hope I spurred some emotion today. See, I get a little ornery someday. You know, it's Friday. I'm a little tired. I get a little ornery. Ask my wife and my kids and my mom. I just do. I got a little ornery in me. And every once in a while, it's kind of fun. So anyway, I love you guys. It's always good to see you. Happy Friday. Have a fantastic weekend. And until the next episode of Wall Street X's and O's,